Imagine having an English-speaking partner available whenever you need one. You don't have to wait for tomorrow. You don't have to wait for a class, and you don't have to feel nervous about disturbing someone. You can simply open ChatGPT and start speaking. This is one of the most powerful ways you can use AI to improve your English because fluency is not created by studying English only in your mind. Fluency grows when you actually use the language. Hear it, respond to it, make mistakes, and try again. Many English learners spend hours watching videos, reading grammar rules, memorizing vocabulary, and taking notes. These activities can help, but there is one missing piece for many people: speaking practice. You may understand a sentence perfectly when you read it, but when someone asks you a question in English, you suddenly don't know what to say. This happens because recognition and speaking are different skills. You need to train your brain to produce English quickly, and ChatGPT can help you create that training environment. You can begin with a simple instruction such as, act as my English-speaking partner. Ask me one question at a time and wait for my answer. Correct my important mistakes and continue the conversation. Now you have a practice partner who can keep the conversation moving. You don't need to prepare complicated topics. Start with your daily life. Talk about your morning, your work, your studies, your family, your hobbies, your goals, your favorite food, or something interesting that happened during the day. Suppose ChatGPT asks, "What did you do this morning?" You might answer, "I wake up at 7 and I go to the office." Instead of feeling embarrassed about the mistake, look at it as an opportunity. You can learn that a more natural sentence is, "I woke up at 7 and went to the office." Then say the corrected sentence aloud. Don't simply look at it on the screen. Speak it, repeat it, then create another sentence using the same pattern. I woke up at 6 and went for a walk. I woke up late and had breakfast quickly. This small process is extremely valuable because you're connecting correction with speaking. You're not simply collecting information. You're training your mouth and your brain to work together. You can also ask ChatGPT to adjust the difficulty according to your level. If you're a beginner, tell it to use short sentences and common vocabulary. If you're at an intermediate level, ask for longer conversations and unexpected questions. If you're advanced, ask ChatGPT to challenge your opinions, introduce unfamiliar topics, and correct unnatural expressions. This means your practice can grow with you. Another powerful habit is to speak with ChatGPT for a fixed amount of time every day. You don't need to spend hours. 10 or 15 focused minutes can be enough to create consistency. Set a simple goal. Today I will speak English for 10 minutes. Tomorrow I will do it again. The goal is not to speak perfectly. The goal is to keep speaking. If you don't know a word, don't immediately switch to your native language. Try to explain the idea using words you already know. For example, if you forget the word exhausted, you can say, "I am extremely tired." If you forget appointment, you can say, "I have a meeting with the doctor." This teaches you an important communication skill. Continuing the conversation even when your vocabulary is limited. You can also tell ChatGPT to remember the mistakes you repeatedly make during your practice and create exercises around them. If you often make mistakes with past tense, ask for conversations that require you to talk about yesterday. If you struggle with prepositions, ask for practical sentences using them. If your pronunciation is difficult, use voice-based practice where available and focus on saying the same sentence clearly several times. The most important thing is to make ChatGPT interactive. Don't just ask it to write an English conversation and then read everything silently. Make yourself the speaker. Let ChatGPT ask questions. Let yourself answer. Then receive feedback. Ask for a better version of your sentence and repeat it aloud. You can even begin your day with a simple conversation. Good morning. Ask me 5 questions about my plans for today. At night you can say, ask me 5 questions about my day and correct my English after each answer. Now English becomes connected to your real life. You are no longer learning random sentences that you may never use. You are talking about your own experiences, your own plans, your own opinions, and your own emotions. The more often you do this, the less frightening speaking becomes. At first, you may pause after every few words. You may translate in your head. You may make grammar mistakes. You may feel uncomfortable hearing your own voice. But don't allow those feelings to stop you. The purpose of practice is not to prove that you are already fluent. The purpose is to become more fluent through practice. Think about someone learning to ride a bicycle. They don't become confident by reading about bicycles. They get on the bicycle, lose balance, try again, and slowly develop control. Speaking English works in a similar way. You need real practice, real attempts, real mistakes, and real repetition. So make ChatGPT part of your daily English routine. Use it when you have a few free minutes. Talk to it while sitting at home. Practice before work. Practice after work. Practice before going to sleep. Turn ordinary moments into speaking opportunities. And when you make a mistake, don't say, "My English is bad." Say, "This is something I can improve." That small change in your mindset can make practice feel completely different. Every correction becomes useful information. Every difficult question becomes a chance to stretch your ability. Every conversation becomes another opportunity to become more comfortable with English. And every time you choose to speak instead of staying silent, you are giving your brain another reason to make English more natural. Speak first, get corrected second. One of the most powerful ways to improve your English with ChatGPT is to change the order in which you practice. Most learners make the same mistake. They ask for the correct answer first, read it, memorize it, and then move on. It feels comfortable because there is no pressure. But comfortable learning does not always create confident speaking. If you want to speak English fluently, you need to give yourself the chance to produce the language before you see the perfect version. When you speak first, your brain has to search for vocabulary, grammar, sentence structure, and meaning. That process may feel difficult, but it is exactly what develops speaking ability. Imagine ChatGPT asks you, "What do you usually do after work?" Don't immediately ask ChatGPT to write an answer for you. Stop for a few seconds and create your own response. Maybe you say, "After work, I usually go home and take rest because I am very tired." Your sentence may not be perfect, but it is yours. Now ChatGPT can help you improve it. You might receive a more natural version such as, "After work, I usually go home and rest because I'm very tired." Look at the difference, understand the correction, and then say the improved sentence aloud. After that, create another sentence using the same structure. You might say, "After work, I usually go for a walk because it helps me relax." Now you're not simply memorizing a correction, you're learning how to use a pattern. This process creates a powerful cycle. Speak, receive feedback, understand, repeat, and speak again. The more frequently you follow this cycle, the more comfortable you become with producing English. You can give ChatGPT very specific instructions for this kind of practice. Tell it, "Do not give me the answer before I respond. Ask me one question at a time. After I answer, correct my grammar and make my sentence sound natural." This prevents you from depending on ChatGPT too much. You remain the person doing the speaking. You can also ask ChatGPT to focus on only your most important mistakes. If it corrects every tiny detail, you may become overwhelmed and lose confidence. Instead, say, "Correct the mistakes that affect my meaning or make my sentence sound unnatural." This allows you to concentrate on useful improvements without feeling that every sentence you speak is wrong. Don't be afraid when ChatGPT points out a mistake. A correction is not criticism, it is information. If you say, "Yesterday I go to the market," and ChatGPT explains that you should say, "Yesterday I went to the market," you have just discovered something useful. Now repeat it several times. Yesterday I went to the market. Yesterday I went to the office. Yesterday I went to the gym. You have transformed one correction into several speaking opportunities. You can also ask ChatGPT to challenge you with questions that require different tenses. For example, ask about yesterday to practice the past tense. Ask about tomorrow to practice future expressions. Ask about your daily routine to practice the present tense. Ask about your opinions to practice descriptive language. This creates variety while keeping the practice focused. Another important part of speaking first is learning to tolerate silence. Many learners panic when they cannot immediately find the right word. They think they must answer quickly and perfectly. But natural communication allows you to pause. You can say, "Let me think for a moment." You can say, "I'm not sure how to explain it." You can say, "I don't know the exact word, but I mean." These expressions give you time while keeping the conversation alive. When you practice with ChatGPT, don't delete your mistakes immediately. Keep them as evidence of what you're learning. You can create a small list of common errors. Maybe you repeatedly forget the past tense. Maybe you use he and she incorrectly. Maybe you confuse in, on, and at. Maybe you leave out articles. Once you know your common mistakes, ask ChatGPT to create a short speaking exercise specifically for you. For example, you can say, I often make mistakes with past tense. Give me 10 questions about yesterday. Ask them one by one and correct my answers. Now your practice becomes personalized. The goal is not to eliminate every mistake before you speak. The goal is to become comfortable speaking while gradually reducing your mistakes. If you wait for perfection, you may remain silent for a very long time. If you speak first, mistakes become part of your training. Think about a child learning to speak. A child doesn't study grammar rules before saying the first sentence. The child tries, makes mistakes, hears better language, and tries again. You can create a similar learning environment for yourself as an adult by giving yourself permission to experiment with English. So when you open ChatGPT, don't immediately ask, give me 10 perfect sentences. Ask yourself, what can I say? Answer first. Then let AI help you improve. If your answer is short, make it longer. If your sentence is incorrect, correct it. If your vocabulary is limited, find a simpler way to express your idea. If you don't know a word, describe it. Every attempt strengthens your ability to communicate, and gradually, something begins to change. You stop waiting for the perfect sentence to appear in your mind. You become more willing to start speaking with the words you already have, more comfortable receiving corrections, and more capable of turning those corrections into natural English patterns. Practice real-life conversations through role play. One of the best ways to improve your English speaking skills with ChatGPT is to practice conversations that you may actually experience in real life. Many learners know vocabulary and grammar, but when they enter a real situation, they suddenly become nervous because they have never practiced that situation before. This is where role play becomes powerful. Instead of simply memorizing English sentences, you can use ChatGPT to create realistic situations and practice responding to them again and again. Think about the situations where you usually need English. Maybe you want to order food at a restaurant. Maybe you need to speak to someone at a hotel. Maybe you are preparing for a job interview. Maybe you want to talk to a colleague, meet a new person, ask for directions, make a phone call, or explain a problem. You can tell ChatGPT exactly what situation you want to practice, and it can become the other person in the conversation. For example, you can say, pretend you are a waiter in a restaurant, and I am the customer. Ask me what I would like to order. Speak naturally and wait for my response. Suddenly, you have a realistic conversation in front of you. The AI may ask, what would you like to drink? You can answer, I would like a glass of water, please. Then it may ask, would you like anything to eat? You respond again. The conversation continues naturally, and every answer gives you another opportunity to speak. You can make these conversations more challenging as your confidence grows. At first, ask ChatGPT to use simple vocabulary and speak slowly. Later, ask it to speak naturally and introduce unexpected questions. This is important because real conversations are rarely predictable. You may prepare one answer, but the other person may suddenly ask something completely different. Role play helps you develop the ability to think on your feet. Imagine preparing for a job interview. Instead of only reading common interview questions, ask ChatGPT to become the interviewer. Tell it, conduct a realistic job interview. Ask me one question at a time. Don't give me the answer. After I respond, correct my English and help me make my answer more professional. Now you are practicing both English and confidence. You might receive a question such as, tell me about yourself. You answer in your own words. Maybe your grammar isn't perfect. Maybe you pause too much. Maybe you use very simple vocabulary. That's okay. ChatGPT can show you a more natural way to express your ideas, and then you can practice saying the improved version aloud. Role play can also help you practice difficult situations. Suppose you need to complain about a product you purchased. You can ask ChatGPT to act as a customer service representative while you explain your problem. You might say, I bought this product last week, but it is not working properly. The AI can respond, and you have to continue the conversation. This teaches you useful expressions that you might not learn from traditional textbooks. You can practice asking for clarification too. If ChatGPT says something you don't understand, don't simply move on. Practice saying, "Could you repeat that, please?" Or "Could you explain what you mean?" Or "I'm not sure I understand." "Could you say it in another way?" These expressions are extremely useful because real fluency is not about understanding every single word. It is about knowing how to keep communication moving when you don't understand something. Travel is another excellent area for role play. You can practice checking into a hotel, buying a train ticket, ordering food, speaking to airport staff, asking for directions, or talking to other travelers. You can even create an entire imaginary trip and practice English at every stage. Start at the airport, move to the hotel, visit a restaurant, ask for directions, and handle an unexpected problem. The more realistic you make the situation, the more useful the practice becomes. You can also ask ChatGPT to change the personality of the person you are speaking with. For example, you might practice with a friendly person, a busy receptionist, a confused customer, a strict interviewer, or someone who speaks very quickly. This can help you become more comfortable with different communication styles. But remember, the purpose is not to create a perfect performance. The purpose is to prepare yourself for real communication. You should expect mistakes. You should expect pauses. You should sometimes struggle to find the right word. Those moments are valuable because they teach you how to continue speaking, even when English doesn't come easily. If you make a mistake during role play, don't stop the entire conversation immediately. Try to finish your thought first. Then ask ChatGPT, "What was wrong with my sentence, and how could I say it more naturally?" This allows you to experience the pressure of real conversation while still receiving useful feedback afterward. You can even repeat the same role play several times. The first time you may struggle. The second time, you may remember some expressions. The third time, your answers may become faster. This is where repetition becomes powerful. You are not repeating because you have nothing better to do. You are repeating because you're training your brain to respond automatically. And you can take the practice beyond ChatGPT. After completing a role play, write down 5 useful expressions from the conversation. Then speak them aloud. Create new sentences with them. Use them in another conversation. This turns one practice session into a larger learning opportunity. The goal is to make English feel familiar before you need it in the real world. When you practice a restaurant conversation before actually visiting one, the situation feels less frightening. When you practice interview questions before the real interview, your mind feels more prepared. When you practice asking for directions before traveling, you become less dependent on memorized phrases. You are creating confidence through preparation. And confidence doesn't mean that you never feel nervous. Confidence means you know that even if you make a mistake, you can continue. Role play gives you a safe place to develop that ability. One conversation, one question, and one spoken response at a time. Stop translating and start thinking in English. One of the biggest barriers to English fluency is not a lack of vocabulary or grammar. It is the habit of translating everything in your head before you speak. You hear a sentence in English, you understand the meaning in your native language, you create a response in your native language, and then you try to convert that response into English. This process takes time, creates hesitation, and often makes speaking feel much harder than it really is. If you want to speak English more naturally, you need to gradually train your brain to connect ideas directly with English words. This doesn't happen overnight, and you don't need to force yourself to think in complicated English from the beginning. Start with simple thoughts that you already use every day. When you wake up, instead of thinking in your native language and translating, try saying silently in English, "I need to get up. Then I need to brush my teeth. I'm hungry. I need to make breakfast. I have to go to work." These sentences are simple, but they create a direct connection between your daily experiences and English. ChatGPT can help you develop this habit. You can tell it, "Give me simple situations from daily life. I will describe what I am thinking in English. Correct my sentences only after I answer." Now you're training yourself to produce English without first building the sentence in another language. Imagine ChatGPT asks, "What are you doing right now?" Instead of translating a complicated answer, look around you and describe what you see. "I am sitting in my room. My phone is on the table. I am drinking coffee. I am watching a video. The window is open." You don't need advanced vocabulary. You are simply training your brain to associate your environment with English. This practice can become more powerful when you make it part of your daily routine. When you're cooking, describe the process in English. I'm cutting the vegetables. The water is boiling. I need some salt. When you're getting ready, say, I'm looking for my keys. I need to change my clothes. I'm running late. When you're traveling, describe what you see. There are many people here. The traffic is heavy. I need to find the entrance. These small thoughts may seem insignificant, but they are exactly what help English become automatic. Another important technique is to stop worrying about finding the perfect word. When you are thinking in English, you will sometimes forget vocabulary. Instead of immediately translating the missing word from your native language, explain the idea using words you already know. Suppose you forget the word umbrella. You can think, it is something I use when it rains. You may not know the exact word at that moment, but you are still communicating in English. This is a powerful skill because real conversations don't stop just because you forget one word. You can ask ChatGPT to train you specifically for this. Say, give me a word or object without telling me the name. I will describe it in English and you guess what it is. This turns vocabulary practice into thinking practice. You can also ask ChatGPT to give you short situations and force yourself to respond quickly. For example, you are late for work, explain why. Your friend invites you to dinner, respond. Someone asks what you did yesterday. You need help finding a place. Give yourself only a few seconds to begin speaking. The purpose is not perfect grammar. The purpose is reducing the delay between the idea and the English sentence. At first, you may feel uncomfortable because your brain is used to translating. That's normal. You may start a sentence and suddenly realize that you don't know how to finish it. Don't give up. Simplify the sentence. Instead of thinking, how can I explain this complicated idea perfectly? Ask yourself, what is the simplest way I can say this? Simple English is powerful English. If you want to say, I have been experiencing a significant amount of stress because of my responsibilities, you can simply say, I am stressed because I have too much work. The second sentence may be easier to produce, easier to understand, and easier to remember. This is especially important for beginners. You don't need to think in advanced English. You need to think in English at your current level. As your vocabulary grows, your thoughts will naturally become more detailed. You can also create an English-only period every day. Start with 5 minutes. During those 5 minutes, don't translate. Describe your surroundings, your plans, your feelings, or your activities in English. Later, increase it to 10 minutes, then 15. ChatGPT can become your guide during this practice. Ask it to give you a topic, ask follow-up questions, and correct your responses afterward. If you don't know a word, try to describe it instead of immediately switching languages. And remember that thinking in English doesn't mean you must completely stop using your native language. It means you are building a new mental pathway. Every time you connect an experience directly to an English expression, that pathway becomes stronger. Eventually, you may notice small changes. You hear a common English question and understand it immediately. You see something and the English word appears naturally. Someone asks you a simple question, and you answer without translating. A sentence comes into your mind before you have time to construct it consciously. Those moments are signs that English is becoming more automatic, because you are gradually teaching your brain to connect your thoughts, experiences, and emotions directly with the language, instead of making every sentence pass through translation first. Repeat useful sentences until they become automatic. When you are learning English, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is trying to memorize too many words without learning how to use them. You may know hundreds or even thousands of vocabulary words, but if you cannot use them naturally in conversation, they remain passive knowledge. Fluency becomes easier when you take useful sentences and expressions and repeat them until they begin to come naturally. This is where ChatGPT can become a powerful practice partner. Instead of asking ChatGPT for a huge list of difficult vocabulary, ask it for sentences that you can actually use in your daily life. You can say, give me 10 natural English sentences I can use at work, or give me 10 useful expressions for everyday conversations. Then choose a few sentences and practice them aloud. For example, you might learn, I'm not sure. Let me think about it. Could you say that again? That sounds interesting. I completely agree. I don't think so. Give me a moment. What do you mean? I'll get back to you. Let me explain. These sentences are simple, but they appear in countless conversations. If you practice them repeatedly, you won't have to construct them word by word every time you need them. They can become automatic responses. Imagine someone asks you a question and you don't know the answer. Instead of becoming silent, you can immediately say, "Let me think about it." That sentence gives you time. You don't need to translate it because you've practiced it many times. This is the power of repetition. When you repeat a useful sentence, don't just read it silently. Say it aloud. Your eyes recognize the words, your brain processes the meaning, your mouth produces the sounds, and your ears hear your own pronunciation. You are training several parts of your language system at the same time. You can ask ChatGPT to create a repetition exercise for you. Tell it, "Give me one useful sentence." Ask me to repeat it, then give me 3 different situations where I can use the same sentence. This helps you understand that one expression can work in many different contexts. For example, the sentence, "Could you explain that again?" can be used in a classroom, at work, during a conversation, on a phone call, or anywhere you don't understand something. You can practice variations such as, "Could you explain that more simply?" Or "Could you explain what you mean?" Or "Could you explain that one more time?" Now you're not memorizing a single sentence. You're building a flexible speaking pattern. Repetition also helps with pronunciation. If a sentence feels difficult to say, don't avoid it. Break it into smaller parts. Say it slowly first. Then say it at a natural speed. Repeat it several times. Record yourself if you can and listen to your pronunciation. You may notice sounds that you need to improve. You can also use ChatGPT to create a daily sentence routine. Every morning, ask for 5 useful expressions. Choose 1 or 2 that are especially relevant to your life. Use them throughout the day. If you learn the sentence, "I'm running a little late," try to use it whenever you're late. If you learn, "I'll take care of it," use it when talking about a responsibility. If you learn, "That makes sense," use it when you understand someone's explanation. The connection between the sentence and the real situation makes the expression easier to remember. Don't worry if repetition feels boring sometimes. Your goal is not to entertain yourself every second. Your goal is to train your speaking muscles. Athletes repeat movements until they become automatic. Musicians repeat scales until their fingers know what to do. In the same way, English learners repeat expressions until their mouths and brains know what to say. However, repetition should not mean saying the exact same sentence mindlessly. You should understand the meaning and then change the sentence slightly. For example, "I usually wake up at 7. I usually wake up at 6. I usually wake up early. I usually wake up before my family. I usually wake up late on weekends." One sentence structure can generate many new sentences. This helps you become flexible instead of simply memorizing. You can ask ChatGPT to give you a sentence pattern and then challenge you to create 5 new examples. If your pattern is "I'm interested in," you can say, "I'm interested in learning English. I'm interested in technology. I'm interested in photography. I'm interested in traveling. I'm interested in improving my communication skills." This kind of practice teaches your brain how to build sentences quickly. Another useful technique is spaced repetition. Don't practice a sentence once and forget it. Review it later in the day, the next morning, and again after a few days. Ask ChatGPT to quiz you on expressions you've already learned. Instead of showing you the answer, let it give you a situation and ask you to produce the sentence yourself. For example, ChatGPT might say, "Your friend is explaining something but you don't understand. What can you say?" You respond, "Could you explain that again?" Now the expression is connected to a real situation rather than just a vocabulary list. The goal is to make useful English available when you need it. You want common expressions to move from your memory into your active speaking. You want to stop thinking about every individual word and start producing complete phrases naturally, especially for everyday situations such as greetings, requests, opinions, explanations, reactions, questions, and conversations. Build confidence by speaking every single day. Confidence in English does not appear because you wait for it. It develops when you repeatedly do something that once made you nervous. If speaking English makes you uncomfortable, The answer is not to avoid speaking until you suddenly feel confident. The answer is to speak while you are still nervous, make mistakes, learn from them, and return to the conversation again. Every day you practice, you give yourself another opportunity to become more comfortable with your own voice. Many learners believe they need perfect grammar before they can speak confidently. They think, once I know enough vocabulary, I will start speaking. But that day may never come because there will always be another word to learn, another grammar rule to understand, or another pronunciation problem to improve. Confidence grows through action, not preparation alone. This is why daily speaking practice with ChatGPT can be so useful. You can create a simple routine and follow it consistently. You don't need to practice for several hours. Even 10 or 15 minutes of focused speaking can give you valuable experience. The important thing is that you actually speak rather than spending the entire session reading explanations. Open ChatGPT and say, I want to practice speaking English for 10 minutes. Ask me questions one at a time. Let me answer first, then correct my important mistakes. Now you have a simple speaking routine. Start with easy questions about your life. What did you do today? What are your plans for tomorrow? What do you enjoy doing in your free time? What is something you want to improve? Answer naturally and don't worry about making every sentence perfect. If you make a mistake, keep going. Maybe you say, yesterday I go to the market. Don't stop and become frustrated. Finish your idea, then ask ChatGPT to correct you. Once you understand the correction, repeat the improved sentence. Yesterday I went to the market. Then use it again. Yesterday I went to the office. Yesterday I went to the gym. Now the mistake has become a lesson. One of the biggest confidence killers is comparing yourself with fluent speakers. You hear someone speaking quickly and naturally, and you think, I will never speak like that. But you don't know how many years that person has spent practicing. You don't see the mistakes they made when they started. You only see the finished result. Compare yourself with yourself. Maybe last month you could speak for 30 seconds. Today you can speak for 2 minutes. Maybe you used to avoid answering questions. Today you can answer without immediately switching to your native language. Maybe you once needed to translate every sentence. Now some expressions come naturally. These small improvements matter. You can also use ChatGPT to track your progress. At the beginning of each week, choose a topic and record yourself speaking about it for 2 minutes. At the end of the week, speak about the same topic again. Listen to both recordings and notice what changed. Maybe your pauses are shorter. Maybe your sentences are longer. Maybe your pronunciation is clearer. Maybe you're using more natural expressions. This can show you progress that you might not notice from day to day. Another important part of confidence is learning how to handle mistakes in conversation. You don't need to hide every mistake. If you forget a word, explain it differently. If you say something incorrectly, correct yourself and continue. You can say, sorry, I mean, and give the corrected sentence. Native and fluent speakers also correct themselves. Communication does not have to be perfect to be successful. You can ask ChatGPT to practice this skill with you. Tell it, give me difficult questions and don't let me prepare my answers. If I make a mistake, encourage me to correct myself and continue speaking. This creates a little pressure while still giving you a safe environment to practice. You should also practice topics that make you uncomfortable. If you can only speak about your hobbies, eventually challenge yourself to discuss work, education, travel, technology, relationships, goals, or opinions. You don't need advanced vocabulary. Use simple words and explain your ideas clearly. The more subjects you practice, the more flexible your English becomes. And don't let one bad practice session convince you that you're not improving. Some days your brain will feel tired. Some days you will forget simple words. Some days you will speak beautifully. And other days you will struggle with basic sentences. This is normal. Language learning is not a straight line. Your responsibility is simply to return tomorrow. 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10 minutes the next day. After weeks and months, those small sessions become a large amount of speaking experience. You can even create different daily challenges with ChatGPT. One day, speak only about your routine. Another day, describe a picture. Another day, tell a story. Another day, give your opinion about a simple topic. Another day, practice a job interview. Another day, have a casual conversation. Variety keeps your brain active while maintaining the habit of speaking. Most importantly, don't wait for confidence before you speak. Speak to create confidence. Every sentence you say is a small act of courage. Every mistake you survive teaches you that mistakes are not dangerous. Every correction you accept makes your English stronger. Every conversation you complete makes the next conversation a little easier. Your goal is not to become fearless overnight. Your goal is to become willing to speak even when you feel a little afraid. Because every time you choose to speak, instead of staying silent, you are building the confidence that makes fluent English possible.